Protests organised by the families of the remaining hostages are planned across Israel on Saturday, marking 700 days since Hamas's attack on October 7th. Demonstrations marking the attack, which killed 1,200 people and took 251 hostages into the Gaza Strip, are set to take place in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. At least 48 are still believed to be held in the Strip, with 20 understood to still be alive. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum, which campaigns for the release of hostages, called for Israel and Hamas to sit down at the negotiating table. It has campaigned against Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu's plan to take over Gaza City, where Israel says Hamas have created a vast tunnel network. Netanyahu has called up at least 60,000 reservists to support the plan, which has sparked criticism both home and abroad. Meanwhile, ceasefire efforts between Hamas and Israel have stalled, with both sides sticking to conflicting demands. Talks on a temporary ceasefire, which would have seen at least some hostages returned, broke down when US Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff walked away from the deal, blaming Hamas. Israel has stuck to its plan to take over Gaza City until all hostages are returned and Hamas surrenders. Angela Rayner has resigned as Downing Street's No. 2 and Housing Secretary after a row over her failure to pay enough tax on a seaside flat she owned. Rayner said she takes full responsibility for failing to seek further tax advice after it was revealed she underpaid stamp duty on her £800,000 flat in East Sussex. Months before she bought the flat, she put her stake in her Ashton house into a separate trust.
I think the accusations were that I'd set up a trust or I'd flipped it to try and avoid paying it, but actually the complex area of the trust, which the advice that I relied upon didn't pick that up. The leading tax counsel, who has subsequently looked at it, has gone into that and has said that actually because of that, it did remain my sole property. And the trust wasn't set up, as accusations have been made, for me to try and flip or dodge tax or anything of that nature. No.
Rayner, who was also deputy leader of Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Labour Party, was widely considered one of the most powerful women in the UK. She represented a core working-class voice in Starmer's government, having grown up in poverty and rising to the top of the Labour Party.
Portuguese police on Friday confirmed that 11 of the 16 people killed in Wednesday's tourist streetcar derailment in Lisbon were foreign nationals. The victims included 3 British citizens, 2 Canadians, 2 South Koreans, 1 American, 1 Swiss and 1 Ukrainian. A further 21 people were injured in the accident. Multiple investigations are underway into the cause of the crash, which Portugal's Prime Minister has called a major national tragedy. A preliminary technical report is expected later on Friday. The transport company Caris, which operates the city's streetcars and buses, said the historic funicular had its last daily inspection just 9 hours before it derailed.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says it's practically impossible to reach an agreement with Ukraine on key issues to end the war. Delivering a keynote address at the Eastern Economic Forum, Putin said that Moscow will consider any foreign troop deployment on Ukrainian soil as a legitimate target. Putin added that he sees no sense in the presence of a foreign military contingent in Ukraine, so long as appropriate decisions are made to build a foundation for lasting peace. He also stressed that he'll not permit Western countries to instate any security guarantees that threaten Russia's national security. Putin argued that his country's security considerations must also be acknowledged and guaranteed to open a path for meaningful progress in the US-led truce efforts. The Russian president reiterated the Kremlin's resolute objection to a Ukrainian NATO membership, but noted that Moscow does not reject the premise of Kyiv in the EU, which he says is Ukraine's legitimate choice. His comments came after Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky and France's Emmanuel Macron announced on Thursday that 26 European states were prepared to deploy a reassurance force to Ukraine post-war. The two leaders spoke after a meeting of the Coalition of the Willing, noting that the plan must have the backing of the United States to move forward. U.S. President Donald Trump did not comment on the European proposal, but said on Thursday that he plans to hold further talks with Putin soon, with whom he keeps a very good dialogue.
I will be, yeah, I will be.
Bulgarian officials have denied claims they suspect Moscow of jamming the GPS signal of a plane carrying European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. It comes just days after the Commission cited Bulgarian authorities as suggesting that the incident was due to blatant interference from Russia. Bulgarian Prime Minister Rosen Zhelyatskov told Parliament on Thursday that von der Leyen's plane had not experienced prolonged interference or jamming. In a later statement, the Bulgarian premier noted that although no jamming was detected by ground instruments, onboard devices could have detected it. Von der Leyen's plane, according to tracking data, appears to have circled around for 9 minutes before landing at Plovdiv airport. Some analysts believe the plane's GPS signal could have fallen victim to spoofing instead of jamming. Spoofing is a highly sophisticated practice largely accessible to state-level actors and is undetectable by conventional instruments. A telecommunications engineer told Euronews that a plane with a good signal, going around in circles, is usually an indicator of spoofing. Other analysts believe the aircraft's GPS could have simply been malfunctioning, which would also explain the incident. Zhelyatskov says he's ordered authorities to carry out further investigations into the issue.
Trump's former ally, tech billionaire Elon Musk, was noticeably absent from a dinner hosted by the US president at the White House on Thursday. Trump hosted an exclusive set of tech billionaires, including Meta's Mark Zuckerberg and OpenAI's Sam Altman, one of Musk's biggest rivals in the artificial intelligence space. Musk and Trump have not been on good standing since their highly public feud earlier this year over Trump's big, beautiful bill.
Very good. Thank you.
Musk intensified the row by accusing Trump of deliberately hiding his involvement with disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. It's a long way for the pair from Trump's election campaign in November 2024. Musk was one of Trump's biggest supporters during the campaign, regularly appearing at rallies to bolster him and funneling millions into political action committees supporting the Republican Party.
In July, sectarian clashes in Syria killed thousands and displaced many more. The leader of the Druze community in Israel recently visited Brussels to seek support from European officials. Euronews met with him.
طبعا جئنا لنرفع صوتنا وصوت أهلنا في سوريا في جبل العرب جبل الدروز بعد الأوضاع التي آلت إليها والأحداث والمجازر التي حدثت هناك. ننتظر أن العالم الاتحاد الأوروبي وأمريكا طبعا وجميع العالم إعادة المخطوفين بأسرع وقت ممكن، إعادة المهجرين إلى بيوتهم وإلى قراهم، إعادة الإحياء الطبيعية وإدخال المساعدات الإنسانية إلى أهلنا في السويداء.
According to independent war monitor, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, 2,000 Druze were killed in Suwaida in clashes with Sunni Bedouin tribes backed by government militias.
كان هناك تعديات على العلويين وكان مذابح كبيرة، وبعدها كان هناك تعديات على إخوتنا المسيحيين أيضا، وبعدها كان التعدي والمجازر التي حدثت في السويداء وضواحيها، القتل والاغتصاب والنهب والسلب والسرقة. أكثر من 230 ألف مهجر من قراهم، واليوم يوجد حصار كبير على السويداء، لا يوجد كهرباء، لا يوجد ماء، لا يوجد دواء، لا يوجد حليب للأطفال.
Amid the deteriorating security situation in Syria, Israel launched strikes on government convoys in Damascus, saying it was acting to protect the Druze.
نحن لا نمثل الحكومة الإسرائيلية، احنا جئنا هنا من أجل أبناء الطائفة الدرزية، ولكن للأسف الشديد العالم بدون شك أنا إسرائيلي، بس أنا هنا موجود كدرزي. يعني لو لم يكن هناك تدخل إسرائيلي لأبيدت الطائفة الدرزية في السويداء.
هل تبرره؟
بدون شك. هل بدون شك أنه كان هناك إبادة، ولو لم يكن تدخل لأبيدت الطائفة الدرزية في السويداء.
Ahead of the September 28 parliamentary elections, and according to the EU, Moldova has once again become a prime target for Russian disinformation campaigns. The authorities in Chisinau have identified methods in which Moscow is trying to influence the internal situation. One of the most insidious one, according to the Moldovan government, is the Russian Orthodox Church being used as a tool to spread Moscow's propaganda and help organize disinformation campaigns in the country.
La această etapă avem 10 paliere mari pe care Rusia acționează și încearcă să realizeze acțiunile de destabilizare în Republica Moldova. Au bunăoară utilizarea bisericii din țara noastră în scopuri de propagandă și dezinformare în interesul Federației Ruse.
The Central Election Commission has already recorded instances of priests engaging in political propaganda. The authority warns that the church's involvement in the election campaign is illegal and has urged religious representatives to refrain from political activities.
Eu cred că este obiectivul clar de a încetini sau stopa definitiv integrarea europeană a țării noastre, de a menține Republica Moldova în zona gri de influență a Federației Ruse, de a extinde această armă geopolitică care este Metropolia Moldovei la moment asupra minților, dar și voturilor oamenilor care frecventează des biserica în Republica Moldova.
Seen from Brussels, the Moldovan election is a pivotal moment for the country's future. If pro-Russian parties win the elections, the country's EU accession talks are expected to be frozen. Next Tuesday, Moldovan President Maia Sandu is set to address the EU Parliament in Strasbourg about the risks of Russian interference.